Today we're going to talk about ordering and comparing decimals, percents, and fractions. Before we compare two different numbers, I want to explain or go over three different things we can do. The first thing, if we're looking at two different fractions, we can use the butterfly method or cross products property. Has us looking at two different fractions where we multiply the numerator of one to the denominator of the other. So 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 2 is 8, and whichever product is bigger, that is the bigger fraction. Okay, that's cross products or butterfly method. The next thing we can do is we can take our fraction or a decimal or percent, whatever the two numbers are, and we can put them into the same format. So if I have 1/4, well, I know 1/4 is the same thing as 0.25. And percentages, I know that 25% is the same thing as 0.25. So we can convert our numbers to the same format. The next thing we can do is make equivalent fractions with a denominator of 10, 100, or 1,000. So again, 1/4, and I want to compare that to 3/10. Well, 3/10 I know is 3 over 10 or 30 over 100. So 1/4 as an equivalent fraction, I know 4 goes into 100 25 times, so 1/4 is 25 over 100. Comparing the two fractions, I see that 30 over 100 is bigger, so 3/10 is the bigger number. So those are the three ways that we can compare, or three methods we can use to compare different numbers. Cross products, by making everything both fractions and looking at the cross products, by converting the two numbers to a similar format, or by looking at making equivalent fractions and comparing the equivalent fractions. So let's look at question 1. We already know that 1/4 equals 25 hundredths. Well, I want to take 22% and convert that into a decimal. I know that a percentage can get converted to a decimal by dividing by 100. Our decimal point starts here. Dividing by 10 gives us 2.2. Dividing by 100 gives us 22 hundredths. So I know that 25 hundredths is the bigger number, so 1/4 is the bigger of those two. If I am looking at question 3, to take a decimal and make it into a percent, I multiply by 100 and then add the percentage sign. So when I multiply by 100, I move the decimal over once, I move it over twice, and I put it in its new spot. And I fill any missing pieces with zeros. When I do that, my percentage is 320%. I knew that my percentage would be over 100 because this number has both a whole number portion and a decimal portion. So I know just by looking at it that it'll be a percentage over 100. So in these two numbers, 3.2 is bigger than 32%.